driving around the bend for many, many years, it's only right we discuss our favourite bends. This is the top 5 Btcc Corners.
Hello and welcome back to the British Touring Car Podcast. We are bringing you another top 5 this week. Let us know down in the comments what your top 5 corners are, but we're going to take you through as there are many to choose from.
That point, sorry, I was very reminiscent of. Have you seen the guy on who's the Ipswich fan? Norwich City fans?
No.
Yellow and blue. Oh, well. Usually exact. People will go find it out. He's always got a tin of Coleman's mustard and going, always blue and white, never yellow and green. And that little point was very reminiscent, so I enjoyed that a lot. Just put an Ipswich bucket hat on next time and we'll be grand.
As I said, there are many corners throughout the British Touring Cars. We go to 8 different tracks throughout the season. A couple of different layouts as well. There are some tracks that aren't on the calendar, but we're going to focus on the ones that are and to pick out our top 5 individual corners. There are a couple of little combination ones in there, but mainly...
Mine are. I've done it properly. You've taken liberties.
I've taken one liberty. But yeah, we'll...
Let's hope there's not a track limits violation for your limit.
We'll get straight into it then, and we'll start with your number 5.
Yeah, number 5, I've gone for the Craner Curves at Donington Park. I think...
I'd argue that's 2 corners, but they are labelled as just one.
Is the labelled as one on the Touring Car website?
Yeah.
Take it up Van Gaal. Perhaps in more recent years it's not been as exciting as previously, but I certainly remember growing up watching the touring cars. That was always an action point. You get cars going down 3 abreast all the way back through the grid.
Yeah,
you're right. You mentioned this before we came on air. Recent times it's not been as exciting, and I'd agree with you on that. It hasn't been as good in recent years. However, it was what effectively caused Plato's massive role in the Chevy, which is one of the iconic moments of touring cars. And we have seen a lot of moves throughout the years. In the rain, it's always good fun.
I was just going to say, it always seems so much more challenging in the rain, and it is still a high commitment corner.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's high risk but high reward as well.
And if you get it right, you've then got a really good chance of setting up a move at the old hairpin or even further around the track through McLean's. As I say, it doesn't go higher up the list because it's become a little bit more tame in recent years. However, I'm going back to sort of the 2010s where it was carnage through there.
There were normally a couple of cars off on the opening lap coming down the Craners most years. It's certainly something we don't see as much anymore. But as you say, you still get that side-to-side racing.
Yeah, as you say, it's still full commitment corner, and you see who's got the cojones and who doesn't at times. So.
I think quite a few of our corners are going to show who's got the biggest cojones on the grid.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I'll get onto mine then. And this is a bit of a outside the box thinking here.
What? It's not a corner?
No, it's a newer corner because it's a track that's been adapted in the last 10 or so years.
Love Snetterton. It's going to be Snetterton.
It is going to be Snetterton.
Love Snetterton, don't you?
Yeah, it's
marry it then.
It's Hamilton at Snetterton, which is
of course of all the corners you pick, it'd be Hamilton as well. Of course, yeah.
Which is the left-hander in the infield, which again is a high commitment corner. There isn't much overtaking that goes on there, unfortunately, but it does set it up for into the right-hand hairpin before you go out onto the back straight.
You're not selling it as a great corner, though, really, are you?
No, but
okay.
I just think, especially, obviously, we've driven around the track together, and I think at high speed, it is much more of a corner than you expect it to be when you see it on camera.
That's fair. It's a bit deceptive, I'll grant you that. However, you say at speed, we're driving around in my Vauxhall Corsa. Speed is relative, but you're right. Yeah.
Which is why it is number 5 on my list, because the ones above that are far better.
It's also got good viewing potential for spectators. That's always a key part of a corner for me, is that can you see it? And obviously they can, and spectators can rather. So, yeah.
I'm sure many of you out there will disagree with that or tell me that I've missed some absolute glaring ones.
Well, for Snetterton, I'm surprised you've not gone for the chicane at the end of the Bentley Straight.
I thought about it, but then that's 2 corners.
Yeah, I'll let you have it as a chicane, but okay, that's interesting. Number 4 for me, I've gone for Sunny In specifically of Croft. Not Sunny In, Sunny Out, just Sunny In.
There have been some big accidents there.
Yeah, because you've come off Barcroft and you've got yourself nicely unsettled along the long straight bit of all the bumps, and then you've got
run outside track limits, which
quite
controversial.
Then you've got to set yourself in for Sunny In, Sunny Out, and I'm focusing purely on Sunny In because you can't do Sunny Out well unless you do Sunny In well, and you can do Sunny In. Yeah. Anyway, We have seen some big accidents throughout the years there. That was obviously the scene of the 2010 accident at Croft.
It was a long while ago. The accident in qualifying, I assume you're on about.
Yes.
The rain had come down and then everyone followed each other off into the barrier.
Oil as well, I think. I think there's some oil down at the time as well. But yeah, you do see a lot of actions there. I say it's a good setup point. And of course, this year, 2024, we saw the Colin Turkington, Tom Ingram incident through there. And after that corner, we saw the Tom Chilton, Jake Hill incident there. So it is an area, it's a pinch point, it's a contact point. And I say, it's not necessarily the quickest corner on the grid, it's not potentially the most technical corner on the circuits we go to, but it's one you've really got to get right. And if you get it wrong, there are big consequences.
Yeah, I'm sticking at Croft, but I'm coming a little bit earlier in the lap, and I'm going to go for the Jim Clark S's.
Okay, cool.
Now,
scene of the Bobby Thompson roll.
Yeah, they're a huge commitment corner. Obviously, we saw Huff and Cook go side by side through there this season. And I think it's, as you say, it's a little bit of a pinch point, but it is really crucial on that back side of the track because you've got to have a good run through there to get into Barcroft and then into Sunny Inn. So it's a crucial part of the lap. We do see some incidents happen there. And I just think it's a nice flowing piece of track as well.
Yeah, and you've got a nice entry before it with Tower, and I'm amazed that this season in particular we're seeing more moves coming through that part of the
section. A lot of people were able to get side by side this year coming out of Tower, and I don't know whether that's down to having the hybrid about and people being able to get alongside, but you really sort the men from the boys as to who wants to commit side by side, like we have the experienced World Car Touring Car Champion of Rob Huff and Cook, and then you've got the other drivers that want to pull out of that, go for something else later in the lap, and it kind of sorts the men from the boys in my head.
Yeah, I can see that. Moving on to my top, we're getting into the podium places now. 3, this might surprise a few people. It's not nothing at Silverstone. That really would be a surprise.
Silverstone hadn't even entered my mind when it came to this.
We'll come to that at the end as a bit of a closer, but I've gone for Church at Thruxton because it is probably the scariest and most full commitment corner. Certainly in England, and I think it's up there in terms of world tracks as well. You have to be flat because the corner makes you so, but it's really scary to be flat through there because everything's on the limit, everything's shaking, and you just know a puncture, a bit of contact. There's not a lot of runoff either way. It's just grass. It's I wouldn't say it's curtains. That's quite an over exaggeration, but it's a really high commitment, massive. Penalty? What's the opposite of reward? Yeah, so it's penalty if you get it wrong. Yeah. But if you get it right, it leaves you to a really nice setup for the round for the final chicane. We've seen
so many people get good runs through there and make the move stick down into that final chicane. That it's a really important corner on that track. It's not one you really want to go side by side through.
But we have seen it.
And we
see it fairly often for a corner that's 140 plus.
Not just in the touring cars, we've seen some big accidents as a consequence of going side by side through there. Jeanetta's come to mind.
Yeah, Porsche one year as well comes to mind for me.
Yeah. It is in my list, but it's not at number 3.
Okay, well, we'll get to your number 3.
So my number 3 is the Black Circle chicane at Knock Hill.
That's low.
I know, but
that's low.
Yeah. It's a high commitment corner. You can't see the apex, which I think is it makes it incredibly challenging, but also incredibly scary and difficult to get right.
Technically, the driver on the first lap can see the apex because of the floppy marker. After he's gone through, you're right, or she's gone through, you're right. No one else can see the apex, But there is a brief moment where you can.
Yes, I think there have been changes to it over recent seasons with the changing of the curb that's there and stuff like that. I kind of like it back to a bit of the old school where you can literally leap over it, have all 4 wheels off the ground if you've got enough commitment.
Darryl de Leon managed that this year?
Yes. But the way it flicks cars up on 2 wheels, I'm not as keen on this year because, I don't know, it makes the landing a lot more unpredictable.
Yeah.
It's not really a place you can make a pass through, which is probably why it's just at 3 for me, rather than slightly higher up.
That's potentially a fair piece of mitigation.
So,
albeit that I think you can pass through there.
It's difficult. We've seen some accidents there as well. Cook's had a big one where he went in backwards a couple of seasons ago in the Honda.
Yeah.
And we've seen plenty of people running out wide, trying to go too wide and ending up in the gravel and normally creating a safety car. The other thing
Go on.
And I know it's a bugbear, are the tyre stacks that go in
but that's
on
not,
that
that's
corner.
not the corner's fault.
No, it's not the corner's fault. And I don't know what you could
Justice
really
for the
do.
corners.
I don't know what you could really do to make that side of things better.
I mean, you could stop being so pathetic about it at race control and just accept that they're going to race, or put some money into it to put proper things down. But this way, Formula 1 doesn't have tyre stacks. There's a reason Formula doesn't have tyre stacks.
Yeah, but they are an open wheel formula.
There's a reason they don't have tyre stacks. Because they put the money into... I know it's unfair to say necessarily to compare touring cars and Formula 1, but yeah, there's a reason that in other sports they don't have it, because they will rely on other technologies, or they'll just go, do you know what? You're going to find a bit of a thing for it. Have fun, lads.
Yeah, I think if they take the tyre stacks away from there, it would make it, one, safer.
Yeah.
And two, you'll get more random results, shall I say, coming out of that corner.
The thing is, if you allow people to take track limits through, everyone's going to do it. No one's going to lose in the advance because everyone will do it. So, to me, that's better than ending up with a face full of tyre. But...
And you could get people that go too far, and then they're probably going to lose time anyway when they catch the inside of the corner or the bump on the corner wrong, or run out wide because they've misjudged the first part of it. So I think there's enough of a penalty after the corner that you probably don't need those tyre stacks there.
I agree with you. My number 2 is the Black Circles chicane at Knockhill, as discussed. Yeah, I've not really got a great deal more to add other than it's just really cool seeing a car doing something it shouldn't be doing, which is being up on 2 wheels, up on 1 wheel, up on no wheels. It's that's generally the first rule of motorsport, is that you need all 4 tyres on the
unless you're rallying, but
on the asphalt. Although, to be fair to the teams, they are finding ingenious ways to save on tyre wear, and if you're getting all 4 wheels off the ground, you're not wearing the tyres out as much.
So no, that is true.
Springs and dampeners maybe, but the tyres, which are the expensive bit, not so much. But yeah, it's a really good corner. It's one of those that if you've not had the chance to see it live yet, then I can only encourage that you get up to Knockhill and watch it, because it's just a completely different experience. It's amazing on the telly, but actually seeing on the telly, I've always thought it's kind of not a slow corner, but a mid-range corner. It's not. It's quick.
It flattens it out on the TV as well. The actual rise up to that corner that you get is much more like fucking Paddock, much more like Craners, much more like the first corner at Knockhill, where you see that really big rise. You can't really see that on TV.
No.
So it's definitely one to go and review yourself if you have the opportunity.
Completely agree. What's your number 2?
My number 2 is going back to your number 3. It is Church.
Okay, so we're not too far off.
Yeah, not too far off. Again, you said it's a big commitment, big Honey's corner. To get that right really kind of sets up the rest of your lap as well, because if you get that right, you get the commitment, and you're normally going to be carrying enough momentum to go down to the final corner, possibly with a purple or green sector, or with the opportunity in a race of making the move that you need to possibly go and grab that position. So yeah, it's a high commitment, high reward, but also high consequence corner if you don't get it right.
It's one I really want to experience as a corner.
Me driving?
No, somebody
qualified.
Yeah, or myself. If I splatter myself, that's on me.
Yeah,
isn't it?
That's fair.
I don't fancy you telling my mother what happened. So, if it was you, okay. Number 1 then. I don't think there's a more iconic corner in British motorsport. Perhaps maybe there's a few sections at Silverstone on the full track, but we don't go there.
No, we don't. We don't.
I think it's only rivaled by that sort of the real fast. I can never remember what it's called. What's the bits after Cops?
Maggots and Beckett's.
That's the one. Thank you very much. I think this corner's only rivaled by that in terms of iconography, or how much iconic it is.
And I think the only reason that Maggots and Beckett's get close is seeing F1 cars go through it. If you had a touring car going through there, they wouldn't really be...
Well, I wouldn't know, would I?
No, they wouldn't really be as exciting corners. It's that high speed change.
Yeah, I'd like to see touring cars go through there to see the difference. But yeah, I think in terms of that's probably the only one that comes close. In terms of the rest of British motorsport, I don't think there's a more iconic corner than Paddock Hill Bend at Brands Hatch. It is the first corner of the lap. It is a drop that you wouldn't believe. The television really doesn't do it justice. I couldn't believe the first time I went just how steep it is.
The amount of times that I've walked up the outside of Paddock Hill Bend, or up and down the outside of Paddock Hill Bend, and thought, God, my legs hurt now. Yeah. It is massively steep, and even when you sit your chair down, you're sitting like that.
Yeah.
Because of the amount of drop off there is.
The cars are bottoming out. Like you don't pick that up on the telly, but they really are bottoming out as they hit the bottom of the thing. And also, it's a fast downhill corner. This isn't a slow, tricky sort of. I suppose you think of we're going to Baku this weekend in the touring in the F1. They've got a little uphill tight section that's quite slow.
In the touring cars, that would be cool.
That would be good.
That would be cool. Anyway,
but yeah, they've got that slow castle section that goes slightly uphill, and it's all slow and serene, and it's all quite nice. No. Paddock Hill Bend is you are pretty much flat. There's a tiny dab of the brakes you go in, and then you're flat down and back up.
We have seen some big commitment overtakes there. Yeah. We've seen some big crashes there.
Yeah, 2009, the massive pile-up with Gordon Shed and Neat involved. I can't remember the other ones, but I remember the the Honda boot being ripped off.
There are bits and pieces that happen as you go into Paddock Hill, through the centre of the corner, and as you go out of it. And I think that's what makes it such a well-rounded corner. Just for information, it is top of my list as well.
Yeah.
So we're completely agreed on the number one being Paddock Hill. And
big crash in the Porsche there a couple of years ago. Bolted the fence.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a corner that is just steeped in, if you pardon the pun, steeped in danger and reward.
I think the fact that it's got the gravel on the outside, it gives you enough to run a little bit wide.
Yeah.
But you really do get punished once you dip a wheel or all your wheels in. It really slows you down.
And I don't think I'll ever forget Camish's move in the pouring rain on the outside. I know it's not technically Paddock Hill Bend. Maybe you could argue it's the upward bit to Druids, but boy,
he started that move by going down the outside at Paddock and then finished it off coming into Druids. But yeah,
on the wet marbles.
I remember us standing there underneath the trees on the infield watching that happen.
Heart in mouth, like.
And also, the other one that comes to mind is Ingram's ballsy move this year, going down into Paddock, and the last of the late breakers, and being right on that edge of grip and adhesion. It's a proper commitment corner, and I think, it rightly deserves to be top corner in the British touring cars.
It's interesting that neither has had anything from Alton Park. I don't think it's a bad circuit. I just couldn't pick out a particular corner. I did perhaps think of the first corner, but these days you're not allowed to run wide. That used to be such an iconic through. Was it Old Hall, the first corner? Isn't it? Yeah, that used to be such a cool one to see the cars literally running out basically to the advertising board. But that's not allowed anymore. So
I think we've mentioned it a couple of times when we've done the reviews or previews for Alton. It's a very tight circuit.
It is, yeah.
And I don't think that promotes as good a racing as we could have there.
No, I'd agree.
We've seen some big accidents there. Yeah, by all means. We've seen some interesting overtakes there as well. And possibly the only corner that comes close in my mind is the double right-hander out the back of the circuit.
Yeah, I quite like Cascades, but I think Crane of Curves is better, and I think that Paddock Hill is better as a downhill kind of corner.
Yep.
I also think that, just to give a little bit of justice to Alton Park, it's not in the same category as Silverstone, which we haven't put anything on this list for either.
There are only about 4 corners at Silverstone anyway.
Yeah, Alton Park is a far better circuit. Silverstone is a glorified NASCAR track, the way we treat it these days. It's just, Luffield in that is quite cool, it's quite iconic, it's quite, it's got history to it, but it's just boring.
I still
boring. Nothing happens.
I still can't believe we got teased with that possibility of running the international section of the circuit during the COVID year. And it didn't happen, and I was gutted.
I don't know why
because I really want to see it happen.
I don't know why I've not gone back to revisit that. I really don't.
My only thought is that some circuits have a regulation on how many times certain layouts can be run each season, like we see with the Brands Hatch GP circuit.
Fine, but we are at the top Premier Air Team Top Series, so therefore why do they not?
Yeah, but
let's remember TCR are running the.
They are. They're running the full circuit, I think.
They're certainly not running just the loop that
they're not.
And that's TCR, which I think has only got 2 cars on the grid this season. But no, jokes. But yeah, we're hopefully going to go and watch the TCR there in October. And it makes you wonder why Silverstone is so underused. But that will all be touched upon in our Silverstone preview, which will be coming out shortly. Ahead of Silverstone, presumably.
Couple of weeks.
We'll
be catching you up with that fairly soon. Let us know what your corners are, because there are so many to choose from, and there are so many different reasons for a corner to be a good corner in the touring cars. Whether it's good for overtakes, whether it's good for viewing, whether it's good for action, whether it's good for accidents. There are plenty of reasons as to why you may love that corner. We'd love to hear it down in the comments.
Maybe you're a tyre stack. Maybe you enjoy being on these corners. We want to hear from you if that's the case.
It's the closest way to get to the action.
Yeah, it's a good view. But yeah, no, I really enjoyed these kind of off the wall side of ones because top 5 drivers and all that is always causes a bit of friction, and it's invariably the same. I know these corners have been invariably the same, but it's a bit different, and I've quite enjoyed it. And yeah, as I said to you earlier, you probably can't offend a corner in the same way you can offend a group of fans over.
I made the point before we started. Are we going for like technicalities of a corner and what makes it really good,
vibes.
Or just how it feels and
Vibes.
how you see it at a circuit? And what corners are vastly different to what you've seen on the TV to what you've actually been to the circuit to see? Because as we've already mentioned, there are big differences in some of these corners.
Final question before we go. Would your top 5 have changed if there was Rockingham or Mondello Park still on the calendar? These are 2 tracks that are in living memory of mine that were on the calendar that obviously no longer are for various reasons. Do you think your top 5 would have changed had we gone for any touring car track?
I don't think so.
No, nor do I.
I don't remember too many of the corners at Mondello, and I don't think any of the corners at Rockingham are good enough to get in.
I quite like the first NASCAR style corner, but it wouldn't have got my top 5.
No,
it wouldn't have got my top 5.
No.
There we go then.
But yeah, let us know your thoughts. Make sure that you get subscribed below, get the bell on if you haven't already. Go to our social media channels. We're on TikTok, we're on Instagram, we're on Facebook. Anywhere you can find us, just go and search British Touring Car Podcast and we shall be there. And we will be back again soon with a preview for Silverstone.
Bye for now.